Lush, executive editor of Hub Culture, and here in beautiful, sunny Los Angeles.
It's right there.
What a day, right?
It's a beautiful day. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming, Farhoud Meybodi. You are the founder of Ritual Arts. Now, I'm exploring this theme of the future of entertainment this week, and I'd love, when I say those words, to hear what it means to you.
I think for me, the future of entertainment is actually deeply rooted in the past of where it started. All entertainment started as storytelling. And I think for many of us who watch these like big blockbuster films or television series, we immediately associate technology and big budgets to these projects. But actually, storytelling started in like caves and in villages in like ancient times, where we would like wrap our arms around our grandmother and like listen to these stories. And all those stories were always rooted in a sort of like educational framework, right? So I don't believe that entertainment was ever just entertainment.
Right.
I think entertainment was a pathway for imparting wisdom and a system for understanding the world. And I think over the years, as things became a little bit more technologically advanced, we forgot that history because it became just entertainment for entertainment's sake.
Right.
So I think the future of entertainment is a renaissance in storytelling.
I love it. That's fascinating. Actually, small side note. I don't know if you've watched or read any Neil Gaiman.
Brilliant
Who has
creator.
this incredible theory that actually stories are the intelligent beings. They're the viruses, and they just use human beings to reproduce.
Stories are living, breathing entities. And actually, as a creator, if a story comes to you and you don't nurture her, she'll leave you and she'll go to someone else.
Right.
Right? It's like the idea fairy.
Yeah.
And I very much believe that these are living, breathing ecosystems and systems to understand the world around us. And I think it's incumbent upon us, the creators, and I mean, you're a storyteller.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
This is a story you're telling,
Yeah.
right? How do we nurture that story? And I think very much when I look at the present ecosystem, I think we've kind of lost the way a little bit. And not to be a downer or like a hater, I think there's incredible things happening all over the world with storytelling and so many brilliant creators. But I'd love to bring a little bit more of that like wisdom and that, that illumination of self. And that's why my company is called Ritual Arts, because I want to bring a sense of ritual back into the arts, right?
Okay.
It shouldn't just be like a rushed hit and run process. It should be deeply intentional, and I'm very excited about creating more of that out in the world.
And I think you and I both share a love of the positive story, and because positive ideas and actions make other people change. And that's been proven in a lot of different ways. So tell me some of the stories that you're telling at the moment. You're working, I think, on one around women. It's also Women's History Month, International Women's Day. Tell me about that particular project.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just kind of taking a step back, I think first and foremost, positivity and optimism is so important. It's so important. But at the same time, we shouldn't bypass reality. And I think sometimes that can happen, right? Like we're so rainbows and unicorns about the world that we just, there's things that are crunchy about the world. And, I think the most important factor here is sincerity and empathy and in like recognizing the state of reality. We shouldn't be stuck in reality. I try to
No, we need to shine a light where change needs to happen.
Yeah, and to be solution
100%.
oriented.
Yeah.
So one project that we recently actually just premiered at the Santa Barbara Film Festival is a project called Earthbound. And that is like exactly what you just shared. I mean, the provocation behind Earthbound is, let's make environmental films that are rooted in this sense of optimism and joy for all people. Because I think sometimes environmental films can be in a little bit of a, bubble.
Yeah.
It's a little finger waggy.
Yeah.
You watch it and you're like, oh my God, I'm terrible.
I learned something, but I feel
I'm
really
just a
depressed.
terrible person. Yeah, like it can be a little judgy. And so from our perspective, it was how do we create space for people to celebrate the environment, for people from all walks of life to celebrate the environment, and how can we really honor and acknowledge change makers all around the world that are doing that? And so for the first film, we profiled a brilliant entrepreneur from Kenya. She's a UN champion of the earth. Her name is Zambi Mate, and she takes plastic bottles from the biggest landfill in East Africa. It's called Dandora, and her company converts those bottles into paving bricks. So it's like full circular economy.
Yeah.
you know, not only is she a female founder, she's a scientist, she's a Christian, she's a dancer. She's like really just like across so many pathways of this world. And we really wanted to create an optimistic take because, I mean, look, we talk about the plastic waste crisis.
Yeah.
It's pretty demoralizing.
Yeah.
So I spent 3 days in the biggest landfill in East Africa, and it was hard.
Tough.
I mean, it was painful. I mean, they don't have the environmental regulations that we do here. It's literally a city of trash, mountains and valleys of garbage, a river of trash. How do you make that optimistic, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty hard. But what we wanted to focus on the incredible human beings that are in that world, doing incredible things for their local community. And yeah, it could be tough. I mean, life is difficult,
Yeah.
right, for all of us. But at the same time, how can we shine a light on their resilience and their joy? How can we shine a light on the tough dimensions of their daily experience and also the solutions they want to build? So we're not bypassing anything, and it's from her perspective rather than, you know, us telling you what her experience is, which I think
Yeah.
a lot of times in media, you want to empower someone, but you're actually disempowering someone because you're putting it through your own
Yeah.
framework. So Earthbound is something that, I mean, we spent 2 years working on that project, and our partner on it is Orlando Bloom, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful change maker, artist, believer, real believer in this type of like optimistic framework of storytelling. And just happy that we get to share it. You know, we were in film festivals all over the world.
Fantastic.
And just putting it out there.
All right. I want to hear briefly about your next project as well in India,
Yeah.
issues around gender.
Yeah, so the next series that we're working on is something that's called Good Money. And it's shining a light on models of stakeholder capitalism all around the world. So, you know, for, you know, many of you out there who may not know the difference, there's shareholder capitalism, which is the only role of a business is to maximize shareholder value.
Right.
It's that old school, you know, Milton Friedman thing,
Yeah.
right? Stakeholder capitalism is there's a multitude of stakeholders, like the environment, like your employees, and you should make sure that they're taken care of in a business as well. And I think this is a really exciting time for this conversation. So one of the businesses that we're profiling is called Fool, with a PH, and they're based in India. And essentially they take flowers that are left behind at temples and as an offering, and those flowers aren't allowed to be thrown away because it's sacrilegious to do
Right.
that. So they'll throw them in the Ganges River. But the
Right.
problem is the flowers have pesticides, you're not poisoning the river. So what Fool does is it employs women from historically marginalized communities and puts them in positions of power,
Amazing.
where they now can not only, you know, generate income, but they can do all the things that I think are really hard for a marginalized woman in India. And that's, you know, some of them aren't allowed to, you know, travel. They're not allowed to open bank accounts. Some really unfortunate, it's a very unfortunate reality. And I think when we can shine a light on all the magic that can happen when people invest in women, wherever
Well,
they
yeah.
are.
I mean, if you raise the bar, you know, we all rise together. So
Exactly.
inclusion, the world doesn't need to be made any more diverse. It is, but inclusion is got to be the goal, right?
And how do we hear from those women
Yeah.
in their own voice, honoring their life experiences? And that's something that we're really excited about. So yeah, I'm actually flying tonight to go, and we're going to be shooting that film. And just really excited to be there.
Oh, so
India's a
exciting.
magical place.
Well, I'm flying to India quite soon too, but I look forward to continuing this conversation. You and I
Thank
have a
you.
lot in common around
Thank
these
you for
issues.
having me.
Farhoud, thank you so much for stopping by Hub Culture here in Los Angeles. I'm Edie Lush.